Welcome everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you for joining me. If you're new to my channel, please help support it by clicking the subscribe button, and as an added bonus, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music. All right, today we're going to take a look at a brand new album, as the press release calls it, by Jefferson Starship, called Mother of the Sun, although I'm going to talk about why I feel like this is more of an EP. It came out Friday, August 21st of 2020. And in order so that you understand the sort of comments and things I'm going to talk about on this and how we got to the point where we are today with the band, I'm going to give you a little bit of background, a little bit of history on the group. And so the band evolved from Jefferson Airplane, which was a band formed in 1965 and was a pioneer of the psychedelic rock sound. And some carryover members from the Jefferson Airplane lineup were Paul Kantner on vocals and guitar, Grace Slick on vocals and keyboards, David Freeberg on vocals and guitar, John Barbata on drums, and Papa John Creech on violin. And so with Jefferson Starship being formed in 1974, or name change from Jefferson Airplane to Jefferson Starship in 74, the band was rounded out by two more members, Craig Chiquiso on lead guitar and Pete Sears on bass. Between 1974 and 1984, the band released a total of 8 studio albums and had 9 top 40 singles, including the number 14 Hot 100 single Jane, which came off their 1979 album Freedom at Point Zero. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is that the song Jane is often credited as establishing adult-oriented rock, or the AOR sound. And so Jefferson Starship has some really interesting footholds or places within rock music history, being a band that evolved out of the 60s band Jefferson Airplane, and then helping to develop and establish the AOR sound, and of course evolving into Starship and having that whole legacy as well. And over the years, there were many lineup changes within the group, including Donnie Baldwin taking over on drums in 1982, and I bring that up because he factors in later as a returning member. And by 1985, though, the band would evolve once again, shortening its name from Jefferson Starship to simply Starship, and taking on a new sound at that point going forward, but that's a whole different thing. We're going to focus on just Jefferson Starship today. And later, Paul Kantner would revive Jefferson Starship in 1992. He had left in the early 80s, and so between 1992 and Paul Kantner's death in 2016, the band would only release 2 more studio albums, Windows of Heaven in 1998 and Jefferson's Tree of Liberty in 2008. And following Paul Kantner's death, the band received approval to keep performing and using the name, and so the current lineup of the group is David Freeberg on vocals and guitar, he's an original member, and Donnie Baldwin on drums. Remember, he joined in 1982, so he's a returning member. And then we got newer post-1992 revival members, Chris Smith on bass and keyboards, Kathy Richardson on vocals and guitar, and Jude Gold on lead guitar. And which brings us then to what we want to talk about, which is Mother of the Sun. And as I said, the press release for this describes this as a new album. However, there's only 7 tracks on here, and it's 32 minutes long. And so, yes, while there's plenty of albums that are only 30 minutes and lots of albums that have less than 10 or 9 songs on it, this one here, the reason that I'm saying that I don't feel like it's an album is that of the 7 songs that are on here, only 4 of these are new songs, and then it adds to it a live recording, a cover of a Marty Balin song, and an extended version of one of the 4 new songs on here. So there's really only 4 new songs, which is why I say that this is more in the vein of an EP or a long or extended playing single on here. And so while there's some really good songs on here, my real complaint though is that nothing on here has that classic Jefferson Starship sound. And to me, the main missing element on here is the counterbalance of the lead vocal along with Paul Kantner's distinctive vocals. And so the other thing is also just there's generally big choruses on here with multiple vocalists singing and hearing their distinct vocals all at the same time clearly within the mix, and we don't really get that on here. We're typically only hearing one lead vocalist at a time. And so with Paul Kantner gone, it's not only felt to me in the songwriting, but also in the style and the sound of what we hear. And in addition, the song styles for this album or EP really feel like they're all over the map. And so regarding the 4 new songs on the album, track 1, It's About Time, which is the first single off the album, is probably the closest thing to original Jefferson Starship material, both lyrically and even sound-wise, probably due to the fact that Grace Slick is a co-writer of the song, and we've got original Jefferson Starship bass player Pete Sears playing on it. He actually plays on a number of the other tracks as well. And then track 2 is a song called What Are We Waiting For? Lyrically, the song follows Jefferson Starship's sort of a footprint, but musically it's much fresher, making for a very interesting song, but tying a little to the legacy of the Jefferson Starship sound. And then track 3, called Setting Sun. It's a more bluesy sounding song, and it's the first song featuring David Freeberg on lead vocals. The other 2 were sung by Kathy Richardson. And track 4, Runaway Again, it's a really beautiful song, but stylistically departure again from the original sound of Jefferson Starship. And so unfortunately what's happening here, for me at least, is I often forget who I'm listening to in the middle of while I'm hearing it. And maybe that's a good or a bad thing, but I'm looking for the original Jefferson Starship sound, and I'm certainly not hearing it on this release. And then of the other 3 songs that round out the total 7 tracks, track 5, Embryonic Journey, is a live recording of the original 1967 Jefferson Airplane song, which I think is an odd choice. If you're trying to reestablish yourself as Jefferson Starship, why cover a Jefferson Airplane song? They probably should have covered a Jefferson Starship song. Track 6, Don't Be Sad, is a cover of a 2009 Marty Balin solo song off of his album Blue Highway. And again, Marty Balin being an original Airplane member and later Starship member, I feel like if you're going to cover a song of his, why not cover one from his Jefferson Starship days? The song itself is also sung in a very crooning type style, which is not very fitting in my opinion of it being within the legacy of the Starship sound. The other track on here, track 7, What Are We Waiting For, is an extended version, or track 7 I should say, is an extended version of the song What Are We Waiting For, which is really just a duplicate of track number 2. So let's take a quick look at this. Here's the cover of it. It's a nice little album cover there. Here's the back side with the track listing and everything. We open it up there. And then here's the inside of it, you can see. And if I pop out the disc, it's got a nice little shot of a nebula under there, giving you something to contemplate while you're looking at. And the booklet, here we go. It's got track listing again, title, little small shot of the band photo. I don't really care for how this was done. I think I would have been happier if the band photo had been the full thing without all of this. We already get that on the back side of the album. And then on the inside, we get album info and lyrical information here, and we get more lyrics as we go through this. But we don't get any more band photos. We just get some thank yous on the back. So that's why I'm saying I would have preferred that the band photo make up the whole of the album cover on there. And so bottom line on here, the 4 new songs I do think are really good. I do think they're worth exploring. However, in terms of reestablishing the band without Paul Kantner, I don't think that this EP or album is going to do that. Of the 3 tracks that are tacked on at the end, I think they're kind of throwaway songs, and I think this release would have been far stronger if they had removed those and only put the 4 new songs on here and just released it as an EP. But I'm going to wait to make a final judgment on this band or lineup of the band until I hear a full album by them. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this and whether or not you feel like this is a fitting in terms of style or a legacy within the band, and what you feel about all of that, whether you feel it's an album or an EP, etc. All right, I hope you guys have a good day. Take care, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye-bye.